Good morning, JDD Jaguars. Today marks the beginning of Say Something Week here at Jose Diego and across Miami-Dade County Public Schools. Now, throughout this week, every day during homeroom, we're going to be exploring different concepts of issues that we might encounter as students here at JDD or just citizens here in America. Some of them are very difficult topics and difficult situations, but each and every one of them are about fulfilling the Sandy Hook promise. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is the Sandy Hook Promise? Basically, the idea of Say Something Week is to encourage and support students to stand against violence in all forms. The goal is to encourage each and every one of us to take a pledge to advocate for others who need assistance. Now, this week was started because of the Sandy Hook Elementary shooting, which some of you may or may not have heard of. The shooting took place back in December of 2012 in Newton, Connecticut. There in Connecticut, a lone gunman walked into a school and killed 20 students and 6 adults. Now, there are many reasons why this event happened. Lots of conversation, discussion have happened since then about what can be done to prevent further shootings. However, again, the goal and inspiration of Say Something Week is so that we can all stand up against violence. We can all stand up against hate in some way, shape, or form. So throughout the week, we're going to explore what can we do to stand up against the different forms of violence, different ways in which violence and hate can show themselves in this country, and be prepared to stand up and say something when we see it happen. Today, we're exploring racism and xenophobia. And so, as we kind of go through this video, you are asked to follow along with your teacher on the video screen and take moments, pauses to answer these questions and perhaps have a conversation about them in your class. And so the first is, what is racism? Have you ever heard of xenophobia? If yes, what is it? If not, what does it look like? What could it mean? What is race? What is ethnicity? Can you tell someone is American by looking at them or seeing what language they speak? Can you explain your answer? So take a minute to jot down your response to these questions and a moment to also share out with your classmates. So, just some facts around racism and xenophobia. Firstly, did you know that America does not have an official language? There are many countries around the world in which an official language is declared, meaning that all business or official business, whether it's on government forms or paper or in other documents, are held in one language. But in America, there is no official language. So that means English is not the official language of this country. Therefore, when you see certain forms that have translations on it, those translations exist because the forms do not have to be written in English. Now, xenophobia is the irrational fear of non native people. And so, what we mean by that is anyone who is not from this country or anything that is different or strange. So, one can be xenophobic when they meet someone that they've never encountered before. This might be someone who lives in a portion of the country where they haven't seen people from other portions of the country, and they can display xenophobia. However, in this case, we are thinking about if someone is American, we often say that that means they were born in America or have American citizenship. Now, during the creation of this country, thousands of immigrants moved and established neighborhoods in small cities that exclusively spoke languages other than English. Examples include Polish, Italian, Czech, and German. Now, those of you who are taking American history or in civics, You might have explored topics of xenophobia in which times in which these immigrants, when they came to the country, were not treated as Americans or as citizens or individuals who could chase the American dream. Those are examples of xenophobia, when folks who had one idea of what it means to be American were afraid of anyone or anything that they thought threatened those ideas of being American. So oftentimes we might see racism and xenophobia here in our country today. And one thing we're going to do is we're going to look at a particular clip from a show known as What Would You Do? And as you're going to see in this clip, folks are confronted with what would they do when they see racism and xenophobia played out in front of their eyes. And so as you're watching, think about what would you do? Maybe think about what's driving this xenophobic reaction and this racist reaction. And what could be done about it? How can you say something?
Hey fellas, what can I get for you?
Un café con leche.
Dos, por favor.
English, please. In this country, we speak English.
In any language, immigration is a hot-button issue.
You need that wall to stop the wrong people.
We first explored people's opinions on immigration back in 2009.
We don't speak Mexican here.
English.
When this worker in New Jersey refused to serve our Latino day laborers,
You don't speak English, you don't get service.
he found a few people on his side.
Why don't you just go to 7-Eleven or something?
But there were others who opposed him.
I'm not coming back here again because you won't help these guys.
Now, 8 years later, we're back inside a Garden State bagel shop
I did this before, and now we're going to do it again.
with two of the same actors serving and receiving the same bias.
I don't speak Mexican.
What will people do today?
We're building a wall to keep you out of the country. Go, get out of here.
What would you do? Our hidden cameras are rolling at Wonder Bagels in Jersey City, New Jersey.
Un café sin leche.
What are you saying?
Un café, un café.
We gotta speak English. We don't speak Mexican here.
This woman in line behind our actors is listening intently.
Your money's no good here. We don't want your illegal alien money.
They just want 2 copies.
I know, but I don't want to support them coming into the country taking jobs from Americans. We're able to get here.
They could be here and just not speak.
I don't think so. Well, let me see your green card then. Papeles, papers,
Dos cafés, ya.
see what I mean? Come around them, please, man. Let's take care of the hardworking American
Can I
people.
order 2 copies with milk? Will you serve me 2 copies with milk?
So you don't care?
It's not that I don't care. It's you don't know what their situation is. They just want coffee.
Hi there.
Shut up.
You are great.
Before I came here, I was watching your show this morning.
Why does it matter?
I think with the current administration, everybody's really tense about immigration and policy. And he doesn't know their situation. They were just 2 guys trying to buy coffee.
Throughout the day,
Did you bother to learn English before you came to this country?
plenty of passionate people step up.
You think they're legal? I'm American.
You get
I mean, this is an American restaurant.
Am I American? I'm out.
Yeah, well,
I'm being legal.
This foreigner stands with our day laborers in solidarity.
You ask me for my papers?
you speak the language.
So what?
And this woman builds a bridge right over that language barrier.
Sin azúcar y uno regular. Ajá.
Black coffee?
The fact that they need an interpreter, isn't that a problem?
No, it's not actually. They have green money, right?
This man fights our cashier with levity and the law.
This is bagels. It's all good. God loves all of us, baby. Let's go.
Why don't they speak English?
We aren't required to speak English.
But this is America.
English is not required in this country. There's no official language.
But you should want to assimilate a little bit to the culture before you come across.
It's a very convenient thing for white people to say.
Next, we meet this man.
¿De qué hablan los animales?
Why don't you speak English? See, if they order in English, I could help them.
We learn Spanish throughout all our grade schools. You should at least learn what coffee and milk means.
Our cashier pushes the question.
As an American, how do the undocumented workers make you feel?
You know what's the irony in this? I serve my country. I literally joined the Navy to protect every citizen. So the fact that I serve for people like you to think that you have a right to condemn anyone? Have you served, sir? Have you did anything to give back to this country that you so rightfully claim? Then if not, please let me just interrupt you. Can I please get 2 coffees with milk, sir? Please.
He insists on ordering for our day laborers and even refuses to take their money.
Sir, can you answer me this? You protect the country. Why do you protect people who aren't citizens?
There's no way you're able to make that determination that they're a legal citizen just from them speaking another language. You got to treat these people better, man. You got to treat people better.
Gracias, manito, man. Muchas gracias.
Now it's my turn to shake his hand.
How you doing, man?
What's going on?
You were so inspiring.
I stood up, I took an oath to protect this Constitution and to protect our citizens. When you start looking down on other people, you're going the wrong way.
As a Mexican-American and a former migrant worker, I wanted to see what would happen if I stepped into the scene. Back in 2009, this is the reaction I witnessed firsthand.
¿Les puede decir que un café nada más un café?
Listen, you guys got to learn the language before you come to this country, okay?
I got to hang out with you, man.
Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, you're right on the money. The problem is the illegal coming, not following the rules.
Let's see what kind of reactions we get this time. Hola, queremos 2 cafés y 2 quesadillas.
Whoa, you got to speak English, man.
This woman is clearly shocked by our staunchly opinionated cashier.
2 cafés, 2 cafés.
We say coffee in America.
She walks over right into action.
2 cafés y 2 sándwiches.
Want 2 sandwiches?
Sí, sí.
Here, type it.
The language barrier doesn't stop her from translating for me with the help of her smartphone.
Turkey? Ham?
It shouldn't be so hard. Oh, you got to learn English before you come over.
2 orders of cheese quesadillas. Uno. Dos.
I have the right to not serve you.
I'll pay. They want 2 chicken quesadillas and then 2 coffees. Okay.
Azúcar.
So,
Azúcar.
Azúcar. I don't know what azúcar means. That's what I should have took a second language.
Proves my point.
So at least give me 2 chicken quesadillas and 2 coffees. Put it on my order.
Time to thank her for trying to buy me lunch.
You know what, ma'am?
I knew it was true. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I kept looking in your face.
But I still told you, right?
Yes, you did. I watched the show.
Why did you do that?
It's just paying it forward, you know. Because we don't know your circumstances, so we can't judge you because of what somebody else's belief.
No, you were going to buy our lunch.
Yes. I'm about to cry.
Time and again in this New Jersey bagel shop, generosity rules the day with no walls in sight.
Oh my goodness, who would have ever thought?
Here I am, right? Hold on.
Hello, America.
So, as we said, this week we are going to be taking a stand. We are going to make a pledge to say something. So in this case, we want you to just consider, why is racism and xenophobia wrong? It can be based on what you saw in the video. It can be based on your own experiences. It can be based on the experiences of others or things you've heard. But why is racism and xenophobia wrong? Take a moment to jot down your answer, have a discussion in your class, and teachers, please feel free to go ahead and chime in and add additional questions. Lastly, since we ask you to take the pledge, if you were in the position to stand up for people affected by racism and xenophobia, what would you do?